Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of TalkFlow. This is episode 29, and today we're going to be talking about the 3 things that you should never ever do on a sales call with a client. Now, these 3 tips they're not really targeted towards Webflow clients. So even if you're not a Webflow developer or Webflow freelancer, you can still, listen to these tips, and I'm sure they will help you. And yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Unless Vim, you want to add something else?
No, I think that's pretty clear. It's just general tips, not even sales call, but any call. But doing this in a on not doing these 3 things on a sales call would definitely help you get one step closer to being hired and one step less from being rejected.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I think what it is um there is a lot more what is it called? I think with advice on sales calls, right? Whenever I chat to a freelancer or whatnot, I think a lot of people they tend to try to find the trick, like they script up a bunch of stuff and like they try to find like this hack of a sales call.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
mean,
a
I
lot of
did it as
things,
well.
yeah, I think a lot of it is just cutting out the bad stuff. I think once you just stop doing certain things on the sales call, you're bound to get, it right. It's not about doing the right stuff, it's just about not doing the bad stuff, if that makes sense. And then you're literally 90% of
Yeah,
the way there. So
yeah,
yeah, let's just jump straight into the first one, which is quite, I think a lot of freelancers still do this, but it is don't hide your face, which is quite self-explanatory. Literally just turn on your camera, even if you don't have a proper camera, just literally just show your face, because clients want to see that, right? For example, even myself, I was on a call with a freelancer trying to hire him, and he didn't have his like video camera turned on. I was like, what? Like, I
yeah,
don't, I don't know how you look. It kind of like broke that kind of trust barrier. I don't know what it felt like. It just felt a little like I'm just talking to a screen, like a brick wall.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really important to show your face. Reason
I
being is
mean,
because it adds trust, and secondly,
yeah,
it also um it also like you can also show your facial expression as well. So when you're chatting to a client, you can smile, whatever, you know what I mean? So like the client can see that, and is why not show that, you know what I mean? So yeah, just always show your face.
yeah. I think when you people do say like, "Oh, it's my privacy," and like, I
Hmm.
don't like being on camera. Yeah, it is, but I don't know if you want business and if you want to connect with your clients, showing your face would be the best option. You could be shy, but I'm sure you can overcome it. Just imagine watching a YouTube video without seeing the person's face or anything. It's just a blank
Exactly.
screen.
Yeah.
It's so
Hmm.
boring, and even though you might have interesting things to say, nobody's gonna be, interested in listening to you because there's no
Hmm.
face to put the voice on. Funny
Hmm.
thing is, I do have a client who I've never seen. His camera was always off since the first day I worked with him, but he has seen me. So on the first call, it was just me showing my face, and that happens quite often. Like some clients
Hmm.
don't really show their face, which is fine. But I always make it a point to actually show my face and then hide the camera. If nobody else is showing it, I mean, it's quite awkward. I just
Hmm.
have myself, so I hide it. But always leave your camera on. If you what Another tip maybe you could do here is, if let's say your background is not pretty or you're working from home or whatever, on that sales call, find a co-working space or go somewhere else where it actually looks nice and you're not chaotic. And again, it's not a privilege everybody has, but if you do have it, put a little bit of an effort. I
Hmm.
think,
100%. Yeah.
things.
I think another really good thing to do, and it doesn't really fall into this, but is kind of adds to that concept of making sure that you present yourself properly to the client, is literally just like look good and sound good as well. So if I was if I were to go back in time, I would probably get a mic. Because especially in summer when your fan or AC is on or there's some noise in the background, like for example your washing machine or something like that, then things can get a
Don't
bit.
My washing machine is running right now.
That's why I
So I
said
have to
it,
mute.
man. So yeah, as I was saying, so for example, let's say you have some background noise. It's always good to invest in like a high quality microphone, because let's be honest, like the MacBook
Thanks,
microphone
thanks,
isn't really like the best.
thanks for the tip, man.
Yeah, so yeah, invest in a good camera if you want. Get a trim, get a haircut. I mean, if it's not really that important, but it's always good to look your best in a sales call.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much. I think the second thing is don't over prepare. And I think Vim, you kind of had the idea of this tip. So
Yeah, and it's mainly because the moment when you said this topic, the first thing I used to do before every sales call is to draft out what I'm gonna say, even before I knew what the call was about or what the client wants.
mm-hmm.
I'd be like, okay, they're gonna say this. If they say this, I'm gonna say this. And I actually still have that book of
Literally.
like it's I have zero idea of the client, zero idea of the business, zero idea of
Yeah.
what they want, and I have like a page full of notes of like what I'm gonna say, and then
Mm-hmm.
I've
Like a
never
script,
ever
pretty much.
want pretty much, yeah. I'll be like, oh, if they say the price is too much, say this, or else
Yeah,
say this,
yeah.
and it never goes like that because it's so hard to
Yeah.
read from a script. And I used to have the script right
Mm-hmm.
on my screen, so that I'm actually reading it off. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look right, and it's very weird. And
It
most of the
doesn't.
time,
Yeah.
the first sales call or discovery call or whatever is just to chat, which is how
Pretty
I see it.
much.
I don't sort of see it like a sales call. I'm not too pressured anymore. It's just more like, tell me what you want. If you want to see my face, talk to me, that's fine. But I can spend 30 45 minutes just talking to you about what you need, what you want. That's how I see it. There's nothing like, oh, I need to tell you what the price is, I need to tell you this. No, just see how it goes, right? Sometimes, like
Pretty much.
yesterday,
Yeah.
I think I tweeted about it. It was like a call she booked in for 30 minutes. Well, it was just like a 5-minute conversation, like sort of debugging one of the site that they had. They over panicked, and they wanted to pay to like redo the entire thing. And then I just looked at it. I'm like, you don't really need to. You can just remove this, and it works fine, and it did. So, what if I went in the approach of like I prepare myself of like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I'm going to tell them. This is what I'm going to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Would have wasted everybody's time because that's not what they actually need.
Yeah. I think there was a video that I saw by Grant Cardone. I'm not sure if you guys know him. But he's like this like fake guru. I don't really like him, but there was one video that I kind of like liked. But it wasn't because of him, it was because of what he was saying and the concept that he was trying to bring. So it was pretty much him practicing a call with I don't know who was a student of his, for example, right? And he told the student they were just pretending they were on a sales call, right? And then the client goes, "Hi, how much do you cost? How much do your services cost? Let's say it's a website, right? How much does a website cost on average?" And then the prospect, the student, he goes, "Hi, sir. Before I get into that, can I take your name down? Oh, before I get into that, what kind of website are you looking for?" So it's like, and then the client goes, yeah, yeah. But then you can see on his face like he's a bit he just literally just wants a straight up answer. So it's like
Yeah,
when you have a script, when you have the script saying, okay, first I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna say this, and then if they say yes or no, I'm gonna say this. It's a
yeah,
bit it's very robotic and literally just I think the biggest tip is speak to a client like you're speaking to a friend. If they have a question
yeah,
straight up, literally just answer them straight up. So if a client asks you what is your average project price, literally just say it's around £3,000 to £5,000. You
yeah,
could answer it straight up, and then if you want to explain further, you can say it after you said your answer. So yeah, it
yeah,
costs around £3,000 to £5,000. But it can range, it can go up a little bit higher. We have a bunch of different pricing factors. Would you like to hear more about that? So answer them straight up, and then ask them a follow up question based on that. So yeah,
yeah.
literally just
It's
speak to the client like you're speaking to a friend, pretty much.
Yeah. I think practice is like the main thing here. Like 1 2 years ago, I can physically remember sweating before every sales call, and like my aircon,
Really,
my
bro,
AC
you're
will be on.
sweating.
Bro, I sweat like pit sweat. Like it's wet.
That's
I
kind of
I
good
remember
though,
it
bro.
because,
You're losing weight.
oh man, it was an AC room. Like I was back in Malaysia. It
But
was
I'll
a
be happy,
cold
right?
ass room.
You're losing water
Nah,
weight.
man. It's like every time I go on a sales call, I have to change my shirt so that I don't ruin my new shirt. But it was all of that is just because I wasn't comfortable and confident enough to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I overthink a lot of the things like, oh, what if they think I'm
Hmm.
too expensive? Or what if they ask for something that I've never heard before? But most of the time they don't. It's just a normal conversation. And a lot of the
Hmm.
script that you sort of write, you tend to realize after a year or two of practice, it sort of becomes natural. A lot of the things that I
Hmm.
thought I need to remember to say just comes naturally because,
Yeah.
again, with more practice, you sort of come to it, and the more people you see and talk to, just becomes more natural. And
Yeah.
I don't want to go into courses and whatnot. Don't get me started with that. Well, that's a different topic. Let's go to
Yeah.
point three.
Yeah. I think before we get into point three, I want to say something. I saw this tweet by Matt from 8020. I'm not sure if you saw it with him. Some of you guys watching may have seen it, but he literally tweeted out a screenshot of like his old script that he used to read back in the day of his client calls,
Yeah,
and
I
it
think I
was
saw that.
and
Yeah,
he was saying stuff like it was literally exactly what you were saying, Vim. Like he had a script that used to read word for word, and then if the client says answers this to a certain question, he will say this. So and then he was saying so the my point is that now he says he literally doesn't even need a script to hop on a call. It literally comes natural, and now he's saying that he's confident to literally hop on any client call, and he's confident that he will be able to close them, or at least say the right things for them to potentially have a high chance to close. So you're right with
yeah,
him in that sense. Like, is you're not gonna you when you're first starting, when it's your first ever sales call, your first five, for example, you are gonna feel the need to prepare. And I think
yeah,
I wouldn't recommend anyone not preparing for a call. Definitely prepare for a call, but don't over prepare, like write word for word. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah, once you get
Prepare
into a lot
for
of
the things
calls,
that,
you'll get
maybe a better way
yeah.
to say is like prepare for the things that you can control. Like if they ask you
Mm-hmm.
about your projects or your experience or what do you do, what you're best at, those sort of stuff is more important than like, oh, if they ask me about the price, this is what I need to say. Because initially I watched a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Chris Do, and I'm like, oh, when the client says this, you say this. When they say this, you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
this. But like a lot of it just doesn't happen that way. I've never
Mm-hmm.
actually used any of this. I mean, watching him speak is interesting, but putting it to practice is a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a beginner or even an intermediate, it's very important to actually prepare for the things that you actually about yourself, because that's what people want to
Yeah.
know, about your company or your
Mm-hmm.
agency or about yourself, rather than like about them or pricing or whatnot.
Yeah. I think another thing is like once you had that experience and you've had that you've run enough sales calls, you'll have that experience to literally, although you'll have that kind of knowledge to the point where any objection you can handle naturally, even if you've never heard it before. Once you've like stacked up enough experience and you've been on enough sales calls, any objection, even if it's new, you will be able to tackle it. So it's
Yeah,
literally
good
just
point. Yeah,
forcing yourself to hop on sales calls and whatnot. Like I remember back in the day, whenever a client used to like, I used to be so scared before a sales call because I used to think to myself, okay, what would this client ask me? Like,
yeah.
what objection would he throw at me? And I used to try to
especially
predict it.
when
Now I don't
when
even predict it. You know?
especially when they select like the higher budget ranges, like you
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
don't get a lot
yeah,
of people coming in, you panic. I still get that when someone selects like the highest budget, like
yeah, yeah,
like a shot of like, oh, okay, I need to like know my, I need to over
yeah.
prepare. I go and study their website.
Hmm.
But there's like, I guess it's the same sort of feeling when you're starting off. Every project is a big project, so I think it's not
Hmm.
something that you can avoid, but try not to over prepare. That's
Yeah,
the whole thing.
100%. Pretty much. Yeah, I think that's enough of don't over prepare. The next thing, point number three, tip number three. I think this is very important, and there's a lot of sub tips or subcategories that can go into this one, but is don't sell. Now, by don't sell, we mean don't. There's a couple of ways you can like look at this. How I look at don't selling on a sales call is kind of contradictory because it was a sales call, but we're telling you to not sell. So what do we mean by that? Well, what I think is whenever you're on a call, you do not want to say like things like, for example, oh, because I was on a call the other day. Well, I was the client in that case, right? So I was trying to purchase a service from someone else, and literally on the call they were telling me, "Do you have a credit card?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" And then he said, "Oh, just can you take a credit card out? I can put your details in the Stripe payment, whatever." I was like, "What the hell is wrong? What the what?" You know what I mean? So it's
Are you
like
talking to the
that
scammer or
is
something?
bro, I don't know what it was, yeah, but it was like that is the number one thing that you should not do. Like, don't sell. Like, don't try to be salesy towards the client, saying stuff like, "Oh, I don't know. Give me an example, Vim, of like being salesy."
I think being salesy is like you're trying to close them in the call itself. Like you want them to
Yeah,
say,
pretty much. Yeah.
like, "Hey, I want to work with you. I want to pay you right now. Give me everything that you got right now." Like
Mm-hmm.
you cannot do that, and both of us don't actually do that. in sales call. I think
Yeah.
every sales call is just sort of an introduction rather than a sales call, just
Pretty
more
much.
like, them getting to know us. And then a lot of the selling and like business sort of happens via Slack or email. And that's how I think
Mm-hmm.
most people and most agencies go about. It's very rare and very, very small percentage of clients that actually make a decision on a call facing you,
Mm-hmm.
because they might have different stakeholders, they want to get other opinion, or they just have the right to go and talk to someone else, right? And you
Yeah.
cannot force them. And the moment when you, even for us, right, when a freelancer or anybody sort of forces you to make a decision, you don't want to work with them anymore, because
Mm-hmm.
you're not giving me as a client the choice of just thinking about it, right? You may be the best
Mm-hmm.
option, but I want to make it my decision to actually select you. And it's something that not a lot of freelancers understand. I didn't understand initially, because I'm like, oh, I'm the best option, nobody else could do what I'm trying to do for you.
Everybody
It's
else is
true.
shit in it, bro.
It is true, like you may be the best, but you want the client to have ownership of of the decision that they're making, right? And once you sort of become the client, you see that for yourself. The moment anybody starts to sell, the moment the sales call even turns to a point where, so have you made a decision, does the budget work for you,
Yeah.
how does it sound, should I sell in the proposal right now, you should not
Yeah.
do that. It's always like, let me know, we can talk about it through Slack, let me know if you're interested. I can put you suggest, like, I can put a proposal
Suggest.
if you're
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like, can I send you a proposal, do you want me to send a proposal?
Yeah.
Don't force them. I think that's the,
Mm-hmm.
instead of don't sell, it's like, don't force selling. If it happens naturally, if
Yeah.
the client is very interested, sure, go all means, try to close them on the call. But that shouldn't be like the first decision. And a lot of YouTubers and like a lot of these fake courses sort of tell you like, oh, this is how you, three things you say to close the client. Nah, man, it's not
Mm.
gonna happen. It's that if you only takes three
Doesn't
things to
work
close
like
a
that.
client, yeah, everybody would be a
Everybody will close
millionaire.
the camera.
Yeah, everybody will be closing every client they get. So it's just, as a
Yeah.
beginner, it's very easy to fall into the temptation of like, maybe I am not doing it properly. Not really. A lot of us do the same thing. It's just that avoiding these three things would help you step one third of an inch, like you say it in every stream, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Vim. It's like don't pressurize them into a sale. When you're chatting to them, don't say stuff like and I think another form of being salesy is like saying these corporate bullshit lines like, "Oh, awesome, brilliant. Now the next step of the call will be now our agenda for the call is stuff like that." You know what I mean? It's just
Oh
like
man.
it's a lot
Oh,
of
that
like
is,
just avoid a lot of the bullshit corporate stuff.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again,
I think
keep
a
it
lot of
friendly.
clients
Keep
get
it,
put off by it. Just keep it literally. Just talk to the client like you're talking to a friend, literally.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just speak the way you normally talk.
Yeah.
Like try to be bubbly, like friendly, whatnot. And I think another bad side about being salesy, is that you come across as desperate, and that is the number one
Yeah.
thing that puts clients off, and that's what puts me off
Yeah.
when I hire
Yeah.
freelancers.
Yeah.
When I sense a
Yeah.
little bit of urgency from them, a little bit of that they're a little bit desperate. It's like, why are you desperate? Do you know? Am I your
Yeah.
only
And
lead
and
right now? That's a bit
and
worrying.
even
You know what I mean? So, and
even
that's
now,
not that's
you
the
know,
last thing that you want clients to think about you.
and even now when we have a client, or when you want to go to a client call, when there's a dry period where you have not enough clients, or you're bored, you
Hmm.
always realize when you have time to work, you never close the client. But when you don't
Mm,
actually have the time to work, when you're actually busy, and the client wants to work with you so much, but you just don't have the time, it's because I really feel like that desperate feeling is very subconscious. Like
hmm.
it's very difficult to say what are you saying that makes you sound like you're desperate for the project. But
Yeah.
once it happens every time there's a agency work is always feast and famine, isn't it? So there's a
Hmm.
peak, you're super busy, that's when you're closing every client that comes to you. And then when you're bored, you do not close any client. And I think this sort
Mm.
of desperate thing sort of comes in very unconsciously, and I think we
Yeah, it
still
does.
do it. Yeah,
Right.
you're like,
100%.
you lower your prices, you start to negotiate
Yeah.
the price because you just want to do
I
some
think I
work.
think one thing that I do is I think I follow up like quite quickly, like after the call, like I follow up a day, and then after that's like 3 days. I think following
Yeah,
up too
yeah,
quickly
yeah,
is the thing
yeah,
that kind of makes you look desperate a little bit as well, and it's also the way you
yeah,
follow up. I've learned now to not follow up saying stuff like before I used to do is say, "Hey, Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a brilliant weekend. Based on a call, these are my notes that I made and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But now what I do
Yeah,
is I like to
yeah,
call gentle follow-ups. So I say it's something super casual, like, "Hey, James, was great chatting to you the other day. I'm just checking in to see if you're still interested. Best, and just send it. Just keep it super casual, super
yeah,
short, simple,
yeah,
sweet. And oftentimes those are the most effective. Although there's a lot less words, there's a lot less information that you're actually giving to the client. It's just so much better because you kind of remove that kind of desperate. You do not come across as desperate, which is what you want. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't come across as desperate. 100%.
yeah. I
I
think I
think
think that's like fourth. I think we sort of wrapped 3 and 4 in one. This
yeah,
was
to
supposed to be
this
three
is a
three
bit all
don'ts.
over the place, but these are
Yeah,
like the three main pillars, and then we just said like a lot of other
yeah,
like sub,
yeah.
tips and stuff
Because
like
it
that.
all sort of overlaps, and it's very hard to like
Yeah,
categorize it. So maybe it's a bonus.
yeah,
Fourth one is don't be desperate.
yeah. I think just the main gist of everything that we're talking about today is literally just literally talk to the client like it's your friend, and
Yeah.
everything else will
I
fall
mean,
into place.
not like
If
your
you're talking to a
friend,
friend,
but I
yeah,
mean the way I
not
talk.
yeah, you're right, you're right. Not like a
Talk to them
not
like a
like your
normal
best
person.
friend. Talk to them, yeah, like yeah, talk to them like a not your like very close friend where you say a lot of like things that cannot be said or
Personal
elsewhere. Just
things.
talk to them like they're the same age as you, you know, just talk to them in a
Yeah,
friendly manner, pretty much. Like don't see them as a client. I think one thing that I want to mention as well is even I used to feel like this as well, is before you get into a sales call, a lot of freelancers, I know for a fact, feel like this because I felt like this, is you put the client at a pedestal before the call. Like, oh, they know everything.
yeah,
They are trying to hire
yeah,
me,
yeah.
all of that stuff. But you should never think like that, right? The client is not above
Yeah,
you, you know? You're both on the same level. Just like how he's trying to hire you, you're also trying to hire him. You're trying to vet him. You're trying to say, oh, is
yeah,
this client going to be good
yeah,
for me? So I think it's a two-way street. And once you start to think like that, you will stop, being desperate. You will stop being salesy, all of that stuff. So it's all a mindset shift as well. I think that's a main good point as well. Like the client is on the same level as you. The way he's trying to hire you, you're also trying to hire him in a way to be a client. So yeah, pretty much like you're both trying to get the same goal out of the call as well.
yeah,
He's trying to see if
yeah.
you're a good fit. You're trying to see if he's a good fit for a client or she. Pretty much. Right, guys, that was TalkFlow episode 29. Yeah, I think we really enjoyed this one. We talked about the three don'ts of a sales call. And yeah, I think the main gist of it is literally just talk to your client like you're talking to a friend, but not a friend because you don't want to say some things that you don't want to say to them. But anyway, yeah, those are like the three tips. Don't hide your face, don't over prepare, don't sell. And we also threw in a bunch of other ones that kind of related to those three. But as long as you don't do these three, then you will definitely improve in your sales call and hopefully you'll close more clients. Right, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like. As you can see, the little ticker at the bottom says, let's try to get to 28 likes. So let's try to
Yeah,
get to
let's
20
see.
likes and
Do you think we
make
will?
sure that you. I think we will. You guys should. I think I trust the audience, to be honest. So
Yeah,
I
let's see.
think they
Let's see.
will get up to 20 likes. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like. If you have any other if you have any other topics that you want us to talk about, make sure you drop a comment and make sure that you subscribe and turn on the bell notification button so you do not miss out on future uploads. See you next week, guys. Bye bye.